Hey, what's up? Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Wieszchowski, and I'm a professional traffic operations engineer with Laberge Group out of Albany. That title, Professional Traffic Operations Engineer, gives me a little bit of a different perspective than a lot of other engineers on this topic. I'm not going to look at just road damage when I look at protecting the roads, but I take a look at traffic and the effects of that traffic on your community character and the roadways within your community. Today, my presentation, I'll cover a few topics. First, a quick overview of my background and my company's background. We'll discuss why road use planning should be done, what road protection resources you have at your disposal, and how to get started with protecting your roadways. Excellent. Laberge Group has been around for more than 40 years helping municipalities with a variety of services, including engineering, planning, economic development. We do what we can for municipalities primarily. We work with some developers. We work with the New York State DOT, but our primary job is working with municipalities to help them. Clicker, I need a little button here. I myself am the lead traffic engineer at Laberge Group. I have 18 years experience in transportation planning and traffic. That is my specialty. I haven't been working on much else other than knowing what traffic does. I'm one of only 27 certified professional traffic operations engineers in upstate New York. So there's not a lot of people with that certification. And I am heavily involved in the Institute of Transportation Engineers. I'm on the executive board of both the New York Upstate section as well as the Northeastern District for the ITE. And I was named the 2004 Upstate New York Transportation Professional of the Year, for anyone who cares. Road use planning. Why do you want to do it? Well, you all have a vision of what your town should be. And how you treat your roadways is one way to keep that vision, to keep that character of your municipality. What you want to do, though, is establish justifiable reasoning for your policies. So that's what a road use plan will do for you. It will protect your local roads by giving you that justifiable basis for all the decisions that you end up making. This probably can't be read from the back of the room, but this is an excerpt from the draft supplemental generic environmental impact statement for gas mining. What this excerpt essentially says is that local municipalities reserve the right to govern over their roads and regulate their roads, that they should have a roads system integrity study to protect their assets, and that the applicant, the operators of the gas drillers, should attempt a road use agreement. If you can hit this is one of my exciting graphics that we have here. So you can see it says the applicant should attempt. That means based on this document, they're not required to do it. If they go into a town and they can't come up with an agreement, they just don't have an agreement. They just come up with a truck routing plan and submit that to the state, and that's good enough. So the only way to protect your roadways is for you to enact local laws to require them to do something. Your resources to protect these roads include what was just mentioned in GEIS, which is your road system integrity studies and your road use agreements. But more importantly, it covers, you have at your resource road use laws and ordinances and your road use plan, which you can have adopted by the municipality. It all starts with a good road use plan, though, something to give you the direction of where you want to go. First, we'll discuss the road system integrity study. Now, this is a study that basically quantifies the existing road conditions. It can be done by a municipality, or at least some of the front work can. Also, part of it can also be done by having the operator pay the municipality to get it done as part of the permitting process. It identifies the pavement repair costs that are involved, and it's the basis for your road damage assessment. It is just a tool, though. It provides information for all the other elements that you can put in place, but by itself it essentially does nothing. It's just the information needed for the other elements. And this particular type of study only deals with the pavement and the damages that could be done to the pavement. It doesn't address anything transportation related, such as where trucks should go, what roads are inappropriate for trucks, and things like that. The second element would be road use agreements. This again was discussed in the GIS briefly. These are project or site specific. They are legally binding contracts between the operator and the town, but they are just that, agreements. If you can't come to an agreement, then they don't apply. They should outline the routes, hours of operations, necessary road improvements, fees, damages, and other requirements necessary. And the county, and I don't want to speak for the county, but their plan that they have with Delta Engineer essentially is a road use permit process that deals with the road integrity study in damages to pavement and payment for those. There's no basis in the permit process that they have to handle what roads should trucks be on or not be on. These agreements are not required unless adopted by local law. So that's something that you have to think about, that the laws have to be put in place for them to actually be effective. Speaking of laws, there's powers that the local governments have. They include, as Helen mentioned several, establishing truck routes, restricting trucks on specific roadways, and establishing permit requirements for truck traffic meeting specific criteria. That criteria could be weight, length, number of axles, axle load. So there's a variety of ways that you can protect yourself. Local laws will only apply to local roads, though. So if you have county roads or state roads, you can't really regulate those. But what you can do is you can put a good road use plan in place, similar to a comprehensive plan, and that will show the state and the county what your goals are for your particular town. And you can use that as a document to go to them and try to coordinate what would be useful for your roadways to maintain your character. It's not a guarantee, but certainly having the plan in place gives you more leverage to do that. And again, this is to establish your road use agreement permit process, you have to have that local law. There's two types of laws that you can deal with, and I'm not going to discuss them in too much detail since I am not a lawyer. The first would be road preservation laws. These laws are geared more towards the permit process. If you have trucks on your roads that are allowed, how are you going to regulate them? What's the criteria? What would trigger a permit that is needed on a specific roadway? And what are the requirements of that operator under that permit? The town of Afton and the town of Butternuts have both started drafting up these type laws. I've reviewed them a little bit, and they are they've got good points and bad points. Certainly the town of Butternuts, I've noticed, they're very detailed in the road integrity study that they would require of the operators. It did seem that they were a little vague on damages and how to measure those damages as far as costs go. So I think there's still a little work that can be done there to make them a little less subjective. Again, these laws need to be justifiable and reasonable to not be challenged. So it's important that everything that's said in the permit process is justifiable and has backup. Your second type of law would be your road use ordinances. And these are laws that aren't covered under the permit process. A good transportation study can identify what roads are appropriate for trucks and what roads aren't. It can designate where restrictions or prohibitions, where trucks should be prohibited. And it can designate where trucks are allowed. It should be noted that local deliveries under New York State law are still allowed even if you prohibit trucks. So that brings us to a road use plan. This is what's going to govern everything that you do, your instruction manual. This is adopted by the municipality. It can be part of the transportation part of a comprehensive plan, or it can also be a standalone document on its own. It identifies your goals, policies, standards, everything that you need to protect the safety of your roadways and guide your future growth to maintain the character of your community. It will also give you the methods in order to do that. So you have your vision, your goals, and then how you're going to get there. What else we got here? And again, it provides a justifiable basis. You don't want to establish laws without something that is justifiable and reasonable for all users. The road use plan will include several transportation elements rather than just looking at the pavement. We'll look at the road geometry, the land uses and character of the roadway. Pedestrian and bicycle facilities are also very important when you're considering truck traffic. And then your recommendations based on all that data that's collected would be for truck routes and restrictions, identifying any problem areas that may require improvements for trucks to travel your recommended routes, and a recommended process for determining the costs of those improvements and for cost of damages. Public participation is key to these. Similar to a comprehensive plan, you'll want to have public meetings to validate your plan. Nobody knows the town better than the people of the town, so certainly it's important to have that input. The road use plan provides a roadmap that will help guide municipalities in achieving their goals. It's something it's very important to remember. Everything's based on your plan. So how to get started? First, contact a professional that looks at traffic as well as the road. It's important that your plan is based on information that is justifiable, and just thinking that something should be a certain way isn't that justification. We'll use sound engineering judgment and standards to set up a justifiable basis for any decisions or policies you make. Next, you'll use in conjunction with your consultant, you'll develop your road use plan. Your road use agreement process will be defined at that point, and the road use laws that are necessary should be enacted to put that road use agreement permit process in place. Then you have to look at the truck restrictions and make sure that you set up your laws for any kind of routing, or truck restrictions. Your other considerations that you should have, your road integrity study. Really, a lot of that does not have to be done up front. If you craft your road use agreement permit process correctly, a lot of the upfront work can be performed at the time a permit application is submitted. I would recommend. I know the town of Butternuts said that a consultant had to be hired by the permittee, and that they would be required to pay for it, and that the town would approve of that consultant. I would recommend that you more craft your law to say that the town will get the engineer that will perform the study, and that the operator will pay for it that way. That way you retain more control over who's performing the study and not what the results are, but the results should be objective either way. The road use agreement, your upfront work is to develop that permitting process. The road use agreement itself will be a document that comes from that on a per-site basis. And you always have to think about enforcement. Whatever you put into place should be made to be enforceable. Otherwise, we're only as good as what we can get away with, I guess. So with that, if you have any questions later, that's my contact information. And now we'll have Michelle Kennedy to talk about land use ordinances.